I titled the piece Solitude to reflect the desert profile of stillness, a place where being alone with the vast scenery can feel both peaceful and lonely. I started with a pencil sketch on a blank canvas, then went over it with thinned out burnt umber. To continue my San Diego landscape series, I chose to paint the Anza-Borrego Desert at sunrise. I titled the piece Solitude to reflect the desert profile stillness, a place where being alone with the vast scenery can feel both peaceful and lonely. I used thinned out raw sienna to wash over the canvas, reducing its whiteness and making it easier to apply the first layer of paint. For this painting, I worked with a limited palette of 11 hues. For the sky, I mixed ultramarine blue, cobalt 2, and plenty of white. I wanted to capture the shadows of the mountain range on the left side of the canvas, so I chose raw umber for its cool undertone. For the mountain range on the right side, more light hits it, but it also appears further away than the mountains on the left. To convey this sense of distance, I mixed in a touch of purple. I think laying down the first layer of paint is important. At this stage, getting the exact hue isn't critical. What matters most is establishing the right values. Here I was mixing hues for the sunrise clouds, adding hints of purple, pink, and a touch of orange to the morning sky. The sunrise sky turned out okay, I guess, but I wasn't completely satisfied with it. I plan to fix it after finishing the first layer of the rest of the painting. I started working on the focal point of the painting, the lone SUV in the vast desert. As usual, for the first layer of paint, I only use paint thinner to make applying the subsequent layers easier. For me, it usually takes at least 2 to 3 layers, sometimes 4 or 5, since I tend to make a lot of adjustments along the way. In my experience, a painting only starts to look good after at least 2 layers of paint. The first layer of paint with paint thinner is crucial for establishing the shadows and highlights, which are refined and perfected in the subsequent layers. When I moved to San Diego, I learned to love the desert. I find its vastness, emptiness, and bareness captivating. The small scrubs, the resilient plants and trees, and the cacti possess a remarkable beauty. Most of my paintings have focused on San Diego, its ocean, wildlife, and of course, its deserts. Here I was still working on the first layer for the desert ground and the shrubs. I began working on the second layer for the mountain ranges, adding more details at this stage. I started fixing the sunrise sky, adding more blue to the sky and alternating it with clouds. Previously, it was almost entirely covered with clouds, which didn't feel very realistic to me. I added a second layer for the scrubs on the desert ground, but honestly, they didn't look natural or blend well with the scene, so I painted over them and started again. This time, the scrubs looked much more natural and better proportioned. The ones in the foreground appeared larger, while those further away looked smaller. At that moment, I felt pretty happy with how everything had fallen into place and worked well together. The hues, the proportions, the values of the objects, everything just came together. Let's take a look at the finished painting. Thank you for watching.